We've been having this discussion of listeriosis, and it's a pretty simple discussion to have because the link between the food and the disease has been made. But we're not having the right discussion in South Africa because there's so many other foods that are causing sickness, but because the link hasn't been made, we're not discussing them. So look at that piece of meat that I've put there. I bought this piece of meat today, 13th of March, 2018. That meat is cancerous. It's got tumors. It's leaking of pus. And I only discovered that because when I get to my butchery, I ask them to cut my meat off the carcass. And so when I get home, I've got to pack it. And as I pack it, I inspect it, touch it, feel it, smell it to be able to see if anything is wrong. Now imagine, and I bought it in a pallet, with the butcher, who's usually an underpaid person that is probably being abused on their job, have had the time to cut this tumor off and take the entire carcass back to the producer? Or would he have simply cut the tumor off, put it in the pallet, wash off the pus, and then at the same time just put it in a blender to make it into mincemeat or wors? And for those of us that read a lot about industrial food production, genetically modified foods, chemicals, it has been said in many researches that cancers in animals are increasing because of the increased feeding of genetically modified foods that are also laced with glyphosates and herbicides and pesticides. So now, we can't have this discussion in South Africa because Monsanto, this pink elephant in the room, has basically captured everybody. So we can't have this discussion. Yet they produce our staple foods. Almost 90 to 95% of our staple foods are genetically modified. They've got these glyphosates and these pesticides in them. Our animal feed is the same story. So all our flour, mealie meal, canola oil, soya beans is genetically modified up to 95%. You don't even have a choice not to eat genetically modified. So if there is a possibility that this cancer that we're seeing in this cow comes from eating genetically modified foods, what then does it do to human beings? And I'm asking this with the deliberate intention because South Africa has got one of the highest cancer rates on the African continent, one of the highest HIV rates, together with the 4 other nations that are in this region that all use genetically modified foods. What is the relationship? When you take a piece of meat from South Africa, or the ones that we buy in our supermarket, and you braai it, it does not smell the same as one that is braaied in the Pharmakeia. It doesn't smell the same as one that is braaied in Swaziland or Zimbabwe. Why? There is something deficient, chemically deficient. They don't even taste the same. Meat in South Africa is tasteless. And it is because of the Boer practices of agriculture that we continue to compliment them for using technology, using chemicals, alchemy in the production of food. But many people have said that alchemy is actually witchcraft. Pharmacies or these vaccines and bovine growth hormones, that is Pharmakeia. It's a form of black magic. But we trust these Boers for everything, even though they are tainting and destroying our lives. There is something suppressing the immunity of black people and people in general in South Africa. That's why we use so many drugs. The same thing is happening in America, where they consume 25% of the world's pharmaceuticals, but at the same time they also consume close to 27% of the pesticides and GMOs of the world. It's time that we start asking the question, let there be no sacred cows, because food is the most important thing. We worry about our constitution, but we can't worry about what people are eating. And if there's a reason why we should take land, it's so that we get wishes of the land. Genetically modified foods are poison.